Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is I am Mighty Sophia here to break down for you guys the latest episode of Bates Motel. Already we are on season 3, episode 8, The Pit. So, spoiler alert before we dive into the mad thick of things, into this pit of insanity, as I will be bearing all in this review. And a couple of quick business items before we do so. Number one, I just changed my Twitter handle / public Facebook page name. Everything is now mmightysophia, so you can find me at facebook.com / mmightysophia, twitter.com / mmightysophia. It's all the same. It's I don't know why I said it like that. We're going to move right along. I just wanted to let you know that I am consolidating, not so much rebranding as making sure that everything else is me. All the same. Anyway, I also have a new song, draft work in progress, my very first original song that I've uploaded to the channel in months, and it is called Dance Royale. There's a link in the description to that, and you can find it on my channel. And also watch my latest review of Game of Thrones, super fun stuff. And I will be doing a review of both Daredevil, the first season. There will be spoiler-free and spoiler-filled discussions in the video that I will be uploading. What is with me talking today? Words are coming out strangely. And I will also be doing a review of the new Avengers film, hopefully this weekend, fingers crossed. Now, let's get into Bates Motel shenanigans together. A very, very fascinating episode as always. I feel like I open up every single review saying that, but seldom is there an episode that does not contain an intriguing development, especially as it pertains to the relationship between Norman and Norma. And what we really fascinatingly got to see this week was the source of love that genuinely binds Norman and Norma together for all of the ridiculousness, all of the lies and the guises that Norma puts up to everyone, including her son, whom she seeks to protect. After all of this, he comes to her in this incredibly vulnerable and transparent moment, except not quite transparent. He comes in the shade of darkness and wants to keep it that way. He comes into her room in the night and insists that he not be seen, almost like some, like Frankenstein's monster or something, aware of this ugliness that is within him and this realization that he had in that encounter with James in the previous episode. So he opens right on up, getting that can of worms out on the table about his mother's sexuality and how he feels about that, and may very well feel things that perhaps he should not. And he is upfront about that in this just staggering moment. And the way that Norma responds, I can't tell if it's completely what I expected or the exact opposite. Because typically when it comes to Norma, everything has its truth and the lie that she so quickly spins, and yet in this moment she dispels his every fear in this just incredibly earnest and authentic, just returning his vulnerability with something else entirely, her own vulnerability, which is just crazy. And so she insists to him in that moment that they are solid, that they can just hug it out and have some Eskimo kisses in bed. It's totally cool if there are sexual feelings deep within, because that is life, and life is messy. And I mean, it's just this, like, we're both people, and we have these instincts, impulses, like animals. And yet what separates us from animals, I mean, it's all incredibly logical, and so it just makes so much sense. And I'm not saying that Norma is completely off her rocker all the time, although in the future she will be on her rocker forever. But anyway, like, it was just so lucid and so open, and she just kind of let them embrace the weirdness of it so that they could get past that. and then go back to more lies and weirdness. So it's like, Norma, this is how she keeps that cord between their hearts. It is this earnest love. She has these moments where she wants to solidify what is between them, that nothing will ever change. And yes, they change as they grow and face circumstances, but fundamentally it is that relationship that is key, that is integral. And no sexual confusion or weirdness is going to take that away from them. And it's just so mind-boggling to me that she's in a place of acknowledging that this could very well be the case. And then ultimately, towards the end of the episode, tells Norman that she believes he will kill her. So that's quite a little switcheroo, if I don't say so myself. But we understand because of the lengths that she goes to protect him. And these are things that she has iterated in the past, saying that, you know, she doesn't get to have her own desire. She is a mother. She lays her life down. She is the giving tree. All this stuff is building to what we ultimately know will transpire between her and Norman. And she is so broken by this relationship that she tries to uphold, and yet cannot shake herself of it, cannot wring her love dry. And that is what keeps us in the balance and coming back for more week after week. It is that dynamic between Freddie Highmore and Vera Farmiga playing Norma and Norman. And, you know, something that I've realized before, but kind of re-hit me again tonight, is the fact that their names are a play, of course, on the word normal, and both of them are just one letter off. Norman has the letter N instead of an O, whereas Norma does not have the letter L. And it just makes you, I mean, do with that information what you will. Perhaps it means nothing, and perhaps I am just pulling stuff out of the wind. But it just, that scene where they have this moment that just makes so much sense, and the honesty between them. And they're so close to having something that is so completely beautiful through and through. But then there's that pit. The pit of despair, and what will be Norma's despair in her final days, whenever that may be. Also, what with the whole Bob Paris 25-foot deep not pool pit in front of the Bates Motel, it kind of reminded me of the early Parks and Rec days of the pit. You know, I feel like we missed out on a good moment to have Mouse Rat cover the "I Fell Into the Pit" song. I fell into the pit, you fell into the pit. I don't remember all the words, but you Parks and Rec fans, you feel me. What this town needs is a Leslie Knope. Can you imagine a Leslie Knope and Norma Bates team up? I don't know if I can, but they're both such intense personalities, and but they could bring some serious business to the table. You know, they could tackle that frickin' bypass together, baby. Leslie and Norma. I can dig it. Anyways, enough of my dreaming and fantasizing about the coulda, shoulda, woulda beens. As far as other pieces of the episode go, I mean, everything that wasn't Norma and Norman in this episode certainly paled to a great degree. Of course, we do have the things that are going on with Alex Romero and how he is being torn between his attraction to and quite possibly even love of Norma and her family, and the desire to protect her and his city and his place in the city. And then Bob Paris on the other side of the fence, who actually comes forth to offer this truth about Norma that undermines everything that Alex has come to understand. And I have a sneeze inside of me that is, oh no, I'm victorious. Okay, we carry on. So Alex is torn between the lie that he wishes he could believe and the truth that Bob offers. And while Alex doesn't desire the partnership that Bob kind of presents alongside the truth about Norma, it nonetheless stands that this is what's really going on behind the curtain. And all he wants is to hear it from the butcher's mouth, you know, or shall we say the butcher's mother's mouth, which is still a good word, you know. But yeah, so we certainly see that struggle, and I don't know where he's going to stand in the future, but at least he is not exactly close to being in a relationship with Norma at the moment, which means that his life shall be preserved for a time and death waylaid. But we see earlier on in the episode that he comes back with Norma's car, like the best freaking guy ever. And they just, the moments, there were so many moments in this episode that I was just living from one to the other. But so it's really difficult to see Norma backed into this corner, and despite everything, she now must viciously cling on to this false truth, which she already revealed to be false to someone who divulged the information to exploitative individuals. Exploitative. Why did I add the extra syllable in there? I can't think of what the word actually is. But anyway, so it's a very unfortunate situation because, of course, we know that the state she is in, during which she conveys the information about what Norman did to James, we know that this was not a good place for her. And yet it seems like Alex deserves to be the one who has this truth and to know that he is being consciously offered and given that in trust, in faith by Norma, and he doesn't get that. And so as much as he wants to be her advocate, how can he when he doesn't truly know where she stands? He knows where Bob Paris stands, but he sure as hell doesn't like that. Especially since that guy tried to send another guy to oust him from his position, so he's kind of, I imagine he's going to be sort of back in the land of in-between, but take this purgatory as a blessed place, Alex, because as soon as you think that you are in the heaven of Norma's sweet caress, you shall in fact be in the sweet caress of Mother. I'm just saying. At any rate, so Alex continues to be Alex. I'm over enunciating my words. Alex continues to be a really beguiling character to me and kind of an interesting, not exactly a wild card. We get where the guy stands, and you know, especially in comparison to so many other characters in the show, he is certainly an anchor, a pillar of this community that is, you know, either kind of at the core of things or veering more over into the Bates lands. But so we also see that there is a little something brewing between Dylan and Emma, and that of course compels Emma to step up to the plate and have a little DTR session with Norman, that being the define the relationship talk, which, as it turns out, there is not really a relationship, which we all kind of saw. And you really don't get off the hook with your significant other by just kind of going off in Looney Land and then re-showing up again, you know, emerging from the basement after making taxidermized animal arrangements and saying, hey, sorry I've been busy and stuff, let's watch a movie. That's not a relationship. And it really wasn't a relationship from the start, and Emma kind of owns up to all of that. She is fully aware of the BS, and she lays it all bare before Norman in a moment that is perhaps a wee bit too honest, if I may. Especially being that they are standing next to a 25-foot deep pit that could very well be one of, if not both of their graves, if this whole breakup goes wrong. I mean, so much as one sway in the passion of the moment, and adios. The show is it has arrived at Elfine, and so that certainly struck me as a rather unfortunate place to have this relational talk. But it happens. It needs to get out there. I mean, what the hey? She knew she was being dragged along, that she couldn't truly, fully grasp Norman's attention, and so a relationship which I thought was going to end on a more tragic note at this point is kind of in limbo. But of course, I imagine that if things ultimately go somewhere with Dylan, or there's some consummation or evidence that they are together, that is gonna piss the hell right out of Norman, who is trying his damnedest to not be in love with his mother and to interact with females his own kind, but maybe that is where Bradley comes into play, and I say this with great hesitation because I'm not excited. I don't care if she's a brunette now, it doesn't matter, I don't like you, but I don't know. I mean, I would like to be pleasantly surprised and see her return having some kind of significant meaning. I mean, we're on the 8th episode, so what, we got 2 left? And it just doesn't really seem like there is time for this character who's been out of the picture for at least a full season to come back. And what for, you know? Unless she's tied to something with Bob Paris, I feel like. That's really the only thing I can imagine. And it would make sense, but then also, why? Because she is kind of, to me, a lot like Barbara from the Fox TV series Gotham. If you guys know what I'm talking about, I don't need to elaborate much further. If you don't, I won't spoil it for you, but basically 2 women whose decisions in life generally don't make a lot of sense, and I'm just not really into them or what they're about. And here she is, in the flesh, at the end of Norman's little psycho run, towards the conclusion of the episode. But yeah, so I don't really know. Basically, I'm seeing one of 2 things. It's going to put Norman back in a place of trying to figure things out with his mother and a healthy way to be with her and not be with her. And here is I mean, I just don't know. I don't know. I don't see it. I don't feel like it's necessary, but it's here. And thus, I am going to contend with what I am given, not what could be or what shouldn't be. So, sadly, that's all I can do. But anyways, it strikes me as odd that Emma, for wanting to be someone who is a part of this family, is willing to kind of pursue something with Dylan. I mean, of course, they're pretty much just firing their romantic missives back and forth at each other, and Gunner's caught on to the whole thing, kind of in the awkward bystander position of, oh, hey there, ex-girlfriend, how goes the life that you're living without me? You know, whatever. Again, feels more inconsequential when you're looking at the gravitas that is delivered by Norman and Norma, by Freddie and Vera, every freaking week. It consumes me body and soul. And again, is why I adore this show as much as I do, and I hope that you do as well. But, yeah, so then speaking of Dylan and also Caleb, they go on the gun run, which is not a fun run because it is almost dead and done running. I tried to bring that to a good conclusion, and I don't know if I did. But anyways, so again, like, even with the whole firefight and the war against Chick and the who's and what's it, and it still pales, ultimately, because of what really just makes this show so enjoyable for me. And of course, the big picture here is, well, I mean, I'm glad that Dylan and Caleb went together on this, because whoever went would have ended up dead instantly unless they were able to reach around the back of their head at the speed of light, yank the gun away, and go all Rambo style on these mofos. But I didn't really see that happening. So Dylan was on a mission to acquire the $25K in order to support Emma's lung transplant. But, you know, just as we saw in this episode, Alex buys a little more time in his life by removing himself from the presence of Norma. We see that Emma's clock continues to tick as there is no money to be found. She's not currently with Norman, but she has kind of set him on a slightly unstable path by refusing to keep up this guise of a fake relationship together, which is something that I don't really know yet how much Norman was banking on that, but it's quite possible that if he sees her around with Dylan, it's going to unravel a lot of threads here. I could see it going down. But yeah, so what else am I forgetting? Yeah, there's the situation with James, which I really saw it coming. The guy was not a total shit sleeve, but at the same time, just adios. Don't know what to say. Unfortunately, he is a consequence of, well, Norma's motherhood that is tearing her apart. And runs off with this information, and Norma goes forth to attempt to completely contain this nuclear bomb of a situation that is mushrooming out all across White Pine Bay. Now, did I see correctly? I thought that I saw for a split second Alex Romero with the flash drive. Did I see that? Am I imagining things? Because that's kind of a big deal, if so. Because I remember that the USB drive was located. I know by Gunnar, obviously, who was able to open it, but oh no, I don't remember. So, but yeah, that's still kind of in play, and there's the whole power play at work with Bob versus Norma, trying to get a leg up on her and getting, you know, attempting to make, gain a little bit of ground in this tug of war here that is at work. And I'll certainly be curious to see what the last two episodes are going to do with all the balls that are in air, you know, as they're juggling quite a few things, but again, making so many other things fascinating. Oh, and last but not least, we mustn't forget to speak about Mother's reemergence. I thought we were going to be seeing her much sooner, and we had not. But there she showed up in Norman's basement immediately after his mother leaves, insisting that she's going to take care of everything, and as Norman is kind of shell-shocked, standing in disbelief of what has occurred and the truth about his past that has been revealed. And then Mother shows right on up, but he knows that something is wrong with her, even though he is seduced by her, and she reaches out to seduce him in her pale blue dress, and the hair just curled perfectly back so that her neck and her collarbone and shoulders are all exposed, and she can get up nice and cozy and say, "I got your back. Don't you worry about a thing, honey. I can do this." But he has now tied the things about himself that terrify him, that could endanger others. He has now tied that to the persona of Mother. And he recognizes that there is this split in him that he is actively fighting. And little did James know just how hard he hit the nail on the head in stating that there is the sexual attraction at work. Because Norman, in his mind, is facing this tangible temptress with the face of his mother, but with so few of her true qualities, and yet the line we know is only going to continue to blur. But oh man. And he forces her away. That's what's really powerful to me, is just how much Norman is fighting. It is this constant just veering into it, leaning into the dark and letting it reach out and grasp him. and then forcibly pushing back and trying to keep himself in the present with his mother, with the love that he knows is true. And it's interesting that that mother is offering him, she's offering him protection for who he truly is, you know? Oh man, it just wants to make me go back and watch every other mother scene just to kind of see how the mother persona shifts over time. I mean, we remember when we first encountered her, she was in her simple, like it was sort of a pious black dress and with her hair pulled back in a bun saying, you know what you have to do. And now she is offering to take control. And it's all about that giving in rather than being commanded to do things. He is being told that things are going to be taken care of, which shows the control that he's starting to losing, or that he is starting to lose, and I am losing my control in grammar, so don't know what that says about me and my future endeavors, but yeah, truly a very magnificent episode in so many ways. Lots of rawness in intimacy and trouble brewing. So I'm looking forward to a sure to be hectic last 2 episodes. Thank you guys super much for joining me on this ride. It is always a pleasure. Yeah, it's just crazy to think that we are almost to season 4. Has there been a confirmation yet? Or maybe that is coming further down the road? I have no idea what the ratings are like, but I feel confident about the future of the show. I don't know. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this adventure. Once again, I say bring on the crazy. And these last 2 episodes, man, I crave it. This is what I come for. So I hope you guys are digging it too. Thanks for this, for sticking around for this extra long review. And as always, I will be back before you know it.